What is FIRE, and can you actually retire early in the UK? What if I told you there are people right here in the UK, and not tech millionaires, not lottery winners, just normal people on normal salaries, who are planning to retire in their 30s and 40s? It sounds mad. It sounds like clickbait. But there's an entire movement behind it, and the maths actually checks out. Sort of. Let me explain. So today we're going to break down what FIRE actually is, how it works specifically here in the UK, whether it's genuinely realistic for everyday people, and most importantly, what you can actually take from it even if retiring at 40 isn't your thing. Right. Let's start at the beginning. FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. It started gaining traction in America, largely inspired by a blog called Mr. Money Mustache. Yes, that's really what it's called, and it's built on a surprisingly simple idea. If you can save and invest enough money that your investment returns cover your living expenses, you never need to work again. That's it. That's the whole thing. The magic number that gets thrown around is 25 times your annual expenses. So if you spend 30,000 quid a year, you'd need £750,000 invested. The idea is you then withdraw 4% each year, and historically, based on stock market returns, your money should last at least 30 years. This is called the 4% rule, and it comes from a study called the Trinity study done in the 90s. Now, before you close this video and think 750 grand, absolutely no chance, just stick with me. Because there's more nuance here than the headline number suggests, and there are some genuinely useful lessons in this even if full-blown early retirement isn't on your radar. First though, let's talk about the different flavors of FIRE, because not everyone in this movement is trying to live off beans on toast in a caravan. You've got lean FIRE, which is the extreme end. We're talking stripped-back living expenses, maybe 20,000 a year or less. These are the people who cycle everywhere, never eat out, and probably make their own soap. Respect to them, genuinely, but it's not for everyone. Then there's fat FIRE, which is the opposite end. These are people aiming for a more comfortable retirement, maybe 50, 60, 70,000 a year in spending. Obviously that means a much bigger pot, so it typically suits higher earners. And then there's what I think is the most interesting one, Barista FIRE. This is where you've saved enough that you only need to do some part-time or low-stress work to cover the gap. You're not fully retired, but you've bought yourself freedom. You're working because you want to, not because the mortgage demands it. Now here's where it gets properly interesting for us, because doing FIRE in the UK is actually quite different from doing it in America, and in some ways, we've got a massive advantage. Advantage number 1, the NHS. Americans pursuing FIRE have to budget for private health insurance, and that can easily cost $15,000 to $20,000 a year for a family. We don't have that problem. The NHS isn't perfect, we all know that, but it removes a genuinely enormous expense from your retirement calculations. Advantage number 2, the state pension. If you've got 35 qualifying years of national insurance contributions, you're currently entitled to the full new state pension, which is just over £11,500 a year. That's not luxury money, but it's a meaningful floor under your retirement income. And unlike a private pension, it's inflation-linked through the triple lock, at least for now. Advantage number 3, ISAs. Oh, ISAs. The UK's secret weapon. You can put up to £20,000 a year into an ISA, and everything inside it, all the growth, all the dividends, all the gains, is completely tax-free. Forever. No capital gains tax. No income tax when you withdraw. Nothing. Americans are genuinely jealous of this, and honestly, most Brits don't appreciate how powerful it is. If you maxed out a stocks and shares ISA every year for 15 years and got, say, a 7% average annual return, you'd have somewhere around £500,000. Tax-free. That's a serious chunk of a FIRE number right there. Now, advantage number 4 is also a disadvantage, and that's our pension system. UK workplace pensions and SIPs are brilliant for FIRE because of the tax relief. A basic rate taxpayer puts in 80 quid, the government tops it up to 100. Higher rate taxpayers can claim back even more. And your employer contributions on top? That's free money. You'd be daft not to take it. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. You currently can't access your private pension until age 57, and that's rising to 58 from 2028. So if you're planning to retire at, say, 42, you've got a 15-year gap where your pension pot is completely locked away. You can see it. You just can't touch it. This is what FIRE people call the bridge problem. How do you fund your life between early retirement and pension access age? And this is where your ISA becomes absolutely critical. For most UK FIRE pursuers, the strategy looks something like this. You use your pension for maximum tax efficiency, get all that lovely tax relief and employer matching. But you also build up your ISA pot aggressively, because that's your bridge money. That's what funds you from retirement until your pension kicks in. Some people also use general investment accounts, that's just a normal taxable brokerage account, for anything above the ISA allowance. You'll pay capital gains tax on profits there, but you do still get a tax-free allowance, even though it's been slashed down to £3,000 a year now. So the UK FIRE playbook, in simple terms, is this: max out pension contributions for the tax relief, max out your ISA for tax-free growth and flexible access, and then use general investment accounts for anything above that. 3 buckets. Pension for later, ISA for the bridge, and general investments as overflow. Now, let's get honest for a minute. Because I think the FIRE movement is genuinely inspiring, but I also think it can be a bit misleading if you don't look at it critically. The 4% rule? It was designed for a 30-year retirement. If you retire at 40 and live to 90, that's 50 years. The maths get shakier over longer time periods. A lot of UK FIRE planners use 3.5% or even 3% to be safer, which means you need a bigger pot. Then there's sequence of returns risk. If the stock market crashes in the first few years of your retirement, like it did in 2008 or during COVID, and you're withdrawing money at the same time, that can do serious permanent damage to your pot. It's not just about average returns over time. It's about when those returns happen. And let's talk about the elephant in the room. Saving 50, 60, 70% of your income, which is what aggressive FIRE requires, is simply not possible for a huge number of people. If you're earning 25 or 30 grand and living in the southeast, you're not saving 60% of your income. You're just not. And anyone who tells you it's just about cutting back on lattes is being either naive or dishonest. Housing costs alone in much of the UK make extreme saving rates nearly impossible for average earners. That's just the reality. But, when this is really important, I don't think that means FIRE is useless for the rest of us. Not at all. Because the core principles of FIRE are genuinely life-changing even if you never fully retire early. Understanding your actual spending. Investing consistently in low-cost index funds. Maximizing your tax-efficient accounts. Building up an emergency fund. Reducing lifestyle creep. Thinking intentionally about what you actually want your life to look like. Even if FIRE takes you from retiring at 68 to retiring at 60, that's 8 extra years of freedom. That's massive. Or maybe it doesn't change your retirement date at all, but it means you have the confidence to leave a job you hate because you've got 2 years' expenses saved up. That's financial independence even without the early retirement bit. And honestly, that's the bit of FIRE I think is most valuable. Not the spreadsheet Olympics of trying to retire at 35. It's the mindset shift. It's going from "I'll just see what happens" to "I have a plan, I know my numbers, and I'm making choices that line up with what I actually want." So here's what I'd suggest if any of this has sparked something for you. Step 1. Work out what you actually spend each month. Not what you think you spend. What you actually spend. Go through your bank statements. Most people are genuinely shocked. Step 2. Make sure you're getting your full employer pension match. If your employer will match up to 5% and you're only contributing 3%, you are literally turning down free money. Step 3. Open a stocks and shares ISA if you haven't already and start investing regularly. Even £50 a month into a global index fund is a start. Time in the market is your biggest ally. Step 4. Calculate your FIRE number, or even just your feeling comfortable number. 25 times your annual expenses. See where you stand. You might be closer than you think. Or you might be miles away, but at least now you know, and you can start closing the gap. And step 5, don't sacrifice your entire life today for some theoretical perfect future. FIRE is a tool. It's not a religion. Finding the balance between enjoying your life now and building towards freedom later, that's the real skill. Right. If you found this useful, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. We put out videos every week on how to make your money work harder in the UK, pensions, ISAs, budgeting, investing, all of it. No jargon, no nonsense. And if you want to go deeper on ISAs and how to actually build that tax-free pot, I've got a video right here that walks you through the whole thing step by step. Go watch that next. I'll see you there.